limbo. Like you cannot just pick one type of investment and invest. It has to be sitting within a vehicle or a house, kind of. We have some of these vehicles or some of these plans, like I like to call them. Tax-free savings account is one. We have an RRSP. We have an RESP. Registered retirement savings plan, registered education savings plan, registered disability savings plan. These are the four major plans that we have. There are other plans which there are just so many of them. A lot of them you cannot contribute to. A lot of them, some of these ones get transformed into them. It's a whole different, it's a lot of different plans. However, we just focus on the first three today. Now, I'll try to, so with each of these plans, you have the same investment options within them. I like to call them plans because what you have within them, we call them accounts. I will get to that, but I just want you to understand as I go. So a tax-free savings account, or most of you would have heard people call it a TFSA, is one of the investment houses or vehicles or plans that we use here in Canada for people to invest. These accounts are usually, they are government plans, or we call them registered plans, because the government wants to help each investor, give some sort of an incentive. Okay, if you put your money here, you will get this. They, on the other hand, want to be able to get some sort of a break for the older population, because if you're saving while you're young, as you get older, the government doesn't really have to help you as much. You will no longer be like a really low-income person, and they will be, they will get that break off. You have your savings, they get the break off. So with the tax-free savings account, it is an account that helps you, so it's mainly an investment account. Typically in Canada, any earnings you make on your investments are taxable. With this one, any earnings you make within the tax-free savings account is free of tax. So if you make $1 million within this account, you're not going to be taxed. However, the government puts a cap or a limit as to how much you can contribute into this account, because if they don't, all the millionaires will come put their money in here to evade taxes. So the yearly contribution limit now is $6,000. However, you are able to accumulate what you don't use or push it over to the next year. Typically, you have to be 18 years. So they start giving you contribution room from the year you turn 18 and you start paying taxes. So you say you turned 18 2 years ago and you started declaring your taxes last year. This year, you will have the contribution room for 3 years if you have never put any money into the account. So the third point, contributions accumulated from year to year, that's just what I explained. So if you don't, say you contributed $2,000 into the account this year and this is your first year, you have room for $4,000 left. Next year, they give you another $6,000, and you can add the $4,000 from this year to the $6,000, meaning that you have available room for $10,000 to contribute next year. And mind you, this is just so that whatever you're putting your money in, when you get your returns, you get the tax break, like you don't have to pay any taxes on it. The other really cool thing with this account is that you have access to your funds at any time. So if you wanted money from the account, you can withdraw it without any penalties, without any fees. But again, that will be a little bit dependent on what you're invested in within the account. And our RRSP, that is how you will commonly hear it, but it's a registered retirement savings plan. This is a retirement account. So any money you put in here, typically you cannot access this money until you retire. However, there is an exception for the first-time home buyers plan. So if you wanted to purchase your first home in Canada, you can take up to $35,000 from this account. And you have 15 years to pay back. So taking $35,000 from this account, you take it penalty-free and tax-free. Now, I'll do a little bit of a comparison between the tax-free savings and the RRSP. So with the tax-free savings, say your employer pays you and you put money into that account. When your employer is paying you, your money is already taxed. So when you get into the account and you're earning back from that account, you're earning tax-free. And that is it. So that is all that you benefit from that account. With the Registered Retirement Savings Plan, when your employer pays you, the money is taxed, and the money that gets into either of these accounts must be already taxed money. You cannot put money here that hasn't been taxed. So when it gets into this account and it's already taxed, what happens is that when you file your taxes or declare your taxes the following year, say in March or whatever, but it has to be before the end of March, the government gives you back whatever taxes you had paid on the money that you have contributed into this account, and that is typically based on your marginal tax rate. Marginal tax rate meaning whatever tax bracket you find yourself in. So when the government gives you back that money, you get some sort of what we call a tax break. Now, when you retire, so what happens is, say you're earning $100,000, you find yourself in a really high tax bracket. The government gives you back whatever taxes you paid on your money. Now, when you retire, you're now not earning as much money as you were when you were working. So you find yourself in a much lower tax bracket. You save the difference between whatever taxes you would have paid and whatever taxes you start paying when you start drawing the money after retirement. Because once you retire and you're drawing that money, you're drawing the money and you have to pay taxes on the money. Like the government, they always have to take their taxes back. So that is the main idea or the main advantage of the RRSP. So basically, it's a tax deferred plan, meaning that whatever taxes you had to pay now, you just defer it to pay after retirement. This is very beneficial for people who are earning a lot of money, people who want to start saving early for retirement, people who want to save on whatever taxes they'll have paid for their first home. And the other exception will be for education. So if you wanted to go to school, you can draw money out of here to pay for your education, but it is only for you or your spouse and not your children. Now you start drawing an income. We convert this account into what we call a RIF when you retire, and then you start drawing money out of it. So taking money in bits, and that is how you will be living until you die. Usually you must start taking money out of this account by December of the year you turn 71. That is the latest date by which you have to start taking money out of the account. And the tax and the contribution limit is 18% of your previous year's income. That is the limit that they give you. It's a bit more complicated than that, but we'll just leave it at 18%. Yeah. So the deadline to make contributions usually is March 30th. So around this time of the year, we have a lot of people who come and start, putting money into their RRSPs against the next year because they want to get that money back. Whatever taxes they paid during the year, they want to get it back in April. So now an RESP, I was going to leave this one out because this presentation, I don't have much time, but there are so many people here with kids. Now, this is for your children, saving for your children's college or university studies. You can start saving from the day that child is born and that child has a SIN number. The main advantage with this account is that whatever money you put into the account, the government matches 20% of that money, up to $500 a year per child. So if you put, say, $2,500, the government is going to match $500. If you put $3,000, the government only matches $500. So if you start putting money when that child is 0 years old, you can get about $7,000 from the government by the time the child has to go to college. And the government stops contributing when that child turns 17. What else? So taxes. So what happens is that you put already tax money into this account. However, whatever the government matches is still taxable money. So that money still has to be taxed. But you, the parent, are not the one who pays the taxes on that money. It's the child who pays the taxes when they start drawing the money for school. But mind you that this child is paying taxes while they are a student. So the taxes are really, really minimal, if not almost zero, because of the student credits they get. Okay, so now all of these accounts have, all of these plans or vehicles that I just talked about have different options within which you can invest, or different accounts, or different pockets where you can put your money in these accounts. The first option will be cash. So we have a cash account, you can just put your money to sit in a cash account within them. But it is pointless, especially in a tax-free savings account or an RSP where you have a contribution limit, because you make nothing, like you make zero interest on that money if it's sitting in cash. If you wanted to leave your money sitting in a cash account, you can just leave it in your checking account in the bank or under your mattress. It will be the same thing. Inflation is still going to affect that money. You can have a regular savings account, like your regular bank savings accounts that you have. Again, the interest rates on those accounts are very, very minimal. Some financial institutions have some really good interest rates going now. But then, in the long run, you don't earn as much interest as you would if you invest in the two bottom options I will talk about. The first one will be what we call guaranteed investment certificates, or GICs. You may have heard that term flying around. The next one will be mutual funds. Those are the two that I'm going to focus on today. So for guaranteed investment certificates, a lot of you will know them as term deposits or term investments. So the characteristics are they're fixed term investments. So basically kind of a contract between you and a financial institution saying, I give you this amount of money, you're going to give it back to me at the end of a period of time with interest. Whatever money you invest or the principal is guaranteed, is safe. So you're sure that you're going to get your money back. It is a one-time purchase, so you cannot contribute into it. You're basically like handed a certificate or some sort of a receipt that this is the transaction that we had today. And the minimum investment for most institutions is 500 Canadian dollars for you to be able to purchase one of these certificates. Now, there are two types we have, and this is this is like the most straightforward, most what we call the traditional GICs. We have market-linked GICs, which are a little bit different from the other ones. So your principal is still guaranteed. There is still a fixed term, which usually is a minimum of 2 years. However, the difference is that the interest rates are linked to indices in the market. So how do I simplify this? Kind of linked to, for example, the Dow Jones or the yeah, I'm trying to simplify more. So to what we call indices, imagine just some sort of a passive investment that mimics the performance of other
financial markets.
Yes, thank you. I hope everyone got that. I'm trying to find the simplest term. It's like, just imagine some investment that is just imitating all the tech companies in the world. As the way they perform, that investment mimics their performance too. So with the market-linked GICs, this is probably my favorite type of investment because you get the best of both worlds. So your money is safe. It's not like you're putting your money in the market, which is exposed to the volatility. However, there's the potential to earn more than just having a fixed interest rate. With the traditional ones, you're exposed to the risk of, what if the rates go higher? You're stuck with that rate. What if you want access to your money? That is applicable to both of them because it is a term. But with this one, as the rates go higher, as what is going on in the markets now with inflation, as the central bank takes up, the interest rates as they have been going up a lot recently, the investment rates do go up because they are trying to get money out of circulation. So if you buy into a market-linked GIC, you're able to we have a minimum guaranteed rate and a maximum potential rate. So they tell you, okay, if you buy this investment today, you will get, say, no matter what happens in the world, because nobody knows the future in the next 2 years. no matter what happens, you will get a minimum rate of 6% on your return on your investment. However, there's the possibility that things will go well and you can get up to 25%. Now, if things go too well, because the financial institutions want to protect themselves, they don't want to give you more than 25%. However, because they want to make you feel safe, they promise you 6%. Markets can go really, really well, and you can maybe get up to 20% on your investment. That is kind of, it's speculation, but I mean, you know that for sure you'll get at least 6%. So you kind of weigh the cost benefit as to, am I willing to put this money aside for 2 years, get at least 6%, but with the possibility of getting more? Again, that speaks to who you are as an investor, what it is that you're willing to risk with your money. The next one would be mutual funds. So a mutual fund is kind of like a basket of investments that is designed or kind of pre-packaged to suit you as an investor, based on what we spoke what we spoke about at the start of your tour. So based on how much time you have for that investment, your objectives, what do you want from the investment, and how much risk are you willing to take? Now, a mutual fund for someone who wants their money in 3 to 5 years, doesn't want to take any risk with their money, and just wants to preserve their capital, will be a more conservative mutual fund than somebody who has, say, 30 years to invest, has some money to put aside, they don't even care what happens to that money, and what is willing to, okay, I'm putting this money, I don't care, I know that the markets are volatile, I understand that the markets keep growing, and those would be two different types of funds. So the first scenario there is a mutual fund that has more fixed income more equity and less fixed income. Now, what is equity and what is fixed income? So the types of investments that you have within a fund, you have equity, which is typically like shares of companies or, shares of stocks in the companies. And depending on the kind of company, or usually equity is more volatile, because the performance of the equity depends on the performance of the company. Take, for example, Elon Musk. If Elon Musk wakes up today and coughs, his share value goes up. If he wakes up and has a bad day, it goes down. That makes his stock very volatile. However, Elon Musk launches a Cybertruck, and the share value goes up. Like, he's just so innovative. Like, he has the potential to grow your investments. Now, fixed income will be more like bonds, like the government bonds or treasury bills. They are a lot safer, but they will give you less return. Now, depending on what type of investor you are, say you're a conservative investor, you'll be invested in a fund that has more fixed income and less equity, because you're more interested in preserving your money than in growing the money. You don't want to attach too much risk to the money. So these are just different scenarios. The first one will be for somebody who is an aggressive investor. So you put more of your investments in equity and less of them in fixed income. We have people who are in the middle. Like I'm just, I'm balanced. I don't really care. Like, I'm in. How many minutes? Oh God. Yeah. So you're just in the middle. You just want you want some growth, but you still want some stability. So you're like, okay, again, this would depend on how much time you have, your objectives, what you want from your money, and how much risk you're willing to take. Again, it's pretty self-explanatory what the third one would be. That would be for someone who's more conservative, more invested in fixed income than in equity. So mutual fund classifications, again, these will be the different types of funds that we have, how they are classified. We have conservative funds, we have moderate conservative, moderate, aggressive, and aggressive. Again, depending on the tour of the investor, which type of investor are you? So we have a fund for every type of investor. If you're somebody who doesn't want to invest too aggressively, we have a fund for you. And with one investor, you can have different tours. So in a tax-free savings account, say that account, the objective for that account is you're saving for your house and you want to buy a house in the next 3 years. you will not attach too much risk to that money as in your retirement savings plan where you have 40 years to retire, and you say, okay, I can ride out the market, because no matter what happens, the market always grows. In the short term, you can have a lot of volatility, but in the long term, it always grows. So you say, okay, for my RRSP, I will go aggressive, and for my TFSA, which the funds are for my house, I would just do maybe a moderate or maybe a moderate conservative. So again, that helps you make a decision as to what you want to invest in. The other one that I put here was just direct investing. The other ones, a lot of the times you will go through a financial institution if you don't want to be too bothered about doing your investing yourself. With these ones, if you're somebody who thinks, okay, I can pull this off, I can, do my own investing, you can use the apps. There are bank trading apps like Scotia iTrade, Easy Trade, BMO, Investor or Investor Line, Wealth Simple. There are so many trading apps out there. The good thing with these trading apps is those plans that I mentioned, you can open an RRSP in a Wealth Simple app, or in a Scotia iTrade app. You can open a TFSA in this account. And one thing to remember too is that with the limit, so you can have multiple TFSAs, but if you have $6,000 a year, you have to make sure that you don't exceed that $6,000 across all of the accounts that you have, because that is a global limit that you have. You can break it down. If you have two, you have 4,000 a year, you can only have 2,000 added into the other one that year. Yeah, any questions? I mean,
where do we start from? Exactly.
I know it's too much information. I know. I mean, I have not even, I just barely scratched the surface, but yeah.
I think the best would be, if you have questions, you contact Sharon in private, send you a message, questions.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Somebody shout hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I don't like the way you clap for the award-winning. For your information,